This man thought his dog was too noisy, so he bought it an electronic collar. He headed to work at his company, where all the employees drove the latest BMW models. Although Jack was just an ordinary employee, his company was one of the Fortune 500. That day, Jack received a notice. The boss wanted to see him on the top floor. As everyone knows, in such a big company, the higher the position, the higher the floor. Jack was so happy that the corners of his mouth couldn't help but curve upwards. He couldn't resist singing loudly in the elevator. Jack was promoted to vice president of the company. After working hard for 15 years, he finally saw the light at the end of the tunnel. Jack was beyond excited. He not only bought a bigger house, but also financed a new lawn for his home. The first thing Jack did as vice president was being scheduled for a financial interview with a TV station. He thought it was a way to promote and showcase himself, but as soon as the interview started, the host bombarded him with questions. He asked why the company's CEO was selling off all his shares. The prosecutor had already seized the company's and the CFO's documents, and how could Jack be so shameless? Jack began to sweat profusely. As he tried to gather his words to respond, the stock price kept falling, and eventually, it hit rock bottom. The global shares became worthless paper. Jack confidently stated that the company would release all documents. When he returned to the company, it was already in chaos. Employees were destroying data, and some were grabbing things to cover their debts. Jack learned from the CFO that the company had been cooking the books for years. On the surface, it looked like it was making money, but in reality, it had long become an empty shell. Jack rushed to find the boss to get answers, but the boss had taken off in a helicopter with his secretary, leaving Jack alone, bewildered in the wind. He thought the day couldn't get any crazier, but when he got home, he found his wife had gone even wilder. She had called in workers to install an outdoor bath in the backyard, and dinner was an all-meat feast. If the oven had been big enough, she would have roasted an entire cow. The company had just gone bankrupt, and his wife had quit her job too. Jack's blood pressure skyrocketed, but he couldn't blame his wife. He was the one who had urged her to quit and stay home with the kids more. Jack didn't want to hide anything from his wife, so he told her about the company's bankruptcy. She had been all smiles just a second ago, but her face quickly turned to gloom. However, it wasn't a big deal. Jack still had his severance pay and retirement fund to fall back on. The next morning, Jack woke up early like usual. On the first day of unemployment, Jack had nothing to do, so he passed the time with trivial tasks. The company scandal hit the news headlines. The former CFO was charged with fraud and money laundering. At present, there was no evidence implicating the former CEO. As vice president, Jack had no idea about any of it, but something just didn't feel right to him.
Like and subscribe.